You're telling me you can't do that? You can't fucking do that? You can't fight in a barn and break shit? Is it too expensive? Oh, motherfucking saw, because... What's going on, loves? It's your boy Chaz. Welcome to Everything Everywhere with Chaz. So Marvel takes a bold step with a new Disney Plus series that's centered around one of their personal popular characters. Not really too sure if it's personally popular with the fans, but to Marvel in itself, at least Disney's Marvel, it's pretty popular. This time the spotlight is on Maya Lopez, the supporting character we met in Hawkeye. Codename Echo. This show breaks the mold set by past Disney Plus series in several ways. Firstly, it introduces the concept of a Marvel Spotlight show, a label defined by Kevin Feige as a series not necessarily tethered to the larger MCU, but focused on telling a character-driven narrative. But that's not all. In a departure from the weekly release format, Disney Plus drops the entire 5-episode series in one go. No more waiting week to week. You can now binge watch the entire show in less than 30 minutes. Just kidding, it's not. I'll imagine that, right? 10 minutes, 5 minutes per episode. Adding a cherry on the top, this is the first TV mature rated Disney Plus show. So brace yourself for full blood on blood contact, curse words, in a more grittier and mature tone. But for fans, it's more of a welcome departure. Having now watched the entire show, just literally finished watching it like about 10 minutes ago. The whole entire thing. Well, I just finished watching the last final episode. I do have a lot to share, so let's dive in. Don't forget to subscribe. For the majority of this review, I will keep it spoiler free in the beginning, and then at the end I'll just do the kind of nitpick spoilers around things that I felt were really horrible, especially when it came to the ending. Episode 1 serves as a prologue and recap for those unfamiliar with Hawkeye. The challenge lies not in being able to skip the introductory episodes, as it intriguingly sets up the series. Unfortunately, the pacing feels disorganized and just a tad bit rushed. It is a sort of a recap episode of 41-minute episode of a recap. My take on Maya is that she seems stuck in a perpetual state of adolescence. After treated poorly by those around her, except for the intriguing biscuit guy. However, the other characters either come across as overly dramatic or fail to leave a lasting impression. Technically, in my opinion, the direction falls very, very short, with lackluster cinematography, reminiscent of generic MCU TV, and somewhat unnatural lighting, which the effects, surprisingly abundant, resembled video game graphics more than cinematic effects, which is pretty unexpected given the minimum needed for effects in this type of show. The costume and the makeup quality are questionable, excluding Kingpin's noteworthy appearance. And speaking of costumes, why not have Echo in her iconic comic book outfit, like as teased at the end of Hawkeye? And so most of you don't know this, but I'm going to say here first, I am pretty much still kind of am a very big MCU enthusiast. I used to go to movie theaters religiously to watch every single movie. And even to this day, I did go see the Marvels in the movie theater, and obviously, my wife enjoyed it, but it's because she's not into the MCU like that, not like how I am, not like how us MCU fans are, but she really enjoyed the Marvels, and I personally was like, it just felt rushed. The pacing, everything about it was so rushed. But this is about Echo. Okay, so yes, I used to take my kids religiously to go see the Marvel movies in cinematic theaters, and we used to experience it in obviously 4D and all this other stuff. And I really enjoyed the experience of watching my favorite comic book character come to life and just being on screen and kicking butt. You know, that was my feeling. That was my yes, I love this kind of moment. But despite acknowledging the very quality the franchise has experienced as of lately, it still hasn't deterred my excitement for other upcoming projects. Where I have an issue is the Disney Plus series. My issue mostly is with the series, it's not mostly with the movies. I feel like some of the movies nowadays obviously could do way more better than what they are. So even if a movie is generally, somewhat from a mid to alright, I guess it can pass, there are still often redeemable qualities in certain films or certain shows that makes me want to be like, alright, let's see what else they can do. But honestly, if Kevin Feige would have been like, yeah, we're next year we're discontinuing Disney Plus shows, I would be ecstatic about it. I would be like, oh shit, okay, cool. Why not? You should have thought about that before. You're not missing anything. That's my point. So if Kevin Feige would have said next week, yeah, we're discontinuing all Disney Plus shows, streaming shows, and just focusing on movies, I would be super happy. Completely super duper happy. Because that's what made them so good. They focused on one generic thing and made it great. If you have so much that you're working on, it's going to clutter everything. And then people are just going to not give a hell. They're just not. Approaching Echo, my mindset had to be like Marvel's just throwing darts and trying to aim for the spot. Just aim right there at the dot. They keep missing. They keep missing. They keep missing their shots when it comes to them shooting darts. It's missing. It's missing a lot. I mean, even with my initial disinterest in Maya Lopez when it came to Hawkeye, I saw her in Hawkeye. I was like, okay, I don't feel like she deserves a show. I was going to give one of the Hitmen a show, which technically they kind of did. They gave the Hitman's daughter a show. When you think about it, right? When you really think about it, that was one of his henchmen's daughters. Don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed Hawkeye. Hawkeye was decent. It wasn't the greatest show, but it was decent. I was completely skeptical about the whole Maya subplot and what they did with Kingpin in Hawkeye, and obviously the finale of Hawkeye. But however, episode 1 did turn things around significantly. They gave you more insight on what truly happened right after that. Despite my initial reservation, I found that episode 1 served as a thorough recap of Maya's character, delving into her journey in Hawkeye. This is a major positive for the show. If you're hesitant about sitting through Hawkeye to understand Echo, then don't worry about it. Episode 1 has you covered. Episode 1 fills in important gaps in providing context for basically her character. It completely changed my perspective on her, making me appreciate her tragic backstory and the depth of her trauma. Suddenly I understand her intense hatred for Kingpin. It's quite honestly, it's understandable. I mean, you ordered your father to be dead and then try to raise you as if nothing happened, which is pretty messed up. The episode also sheds light on her abilities and showcases some truly cool fight scenes that added to her appeal. Continuing through the course of the show, numerous redeeming qualities elevated it above the average Marvel Disney Plus production. The standout feature for me was the phenomenal action scenes. If you caught a glimpse in the trailer, you knew we were in for some breathtaking Netflix Daredevil level action, hand-to-hand combat. This is a spoiler-free section. Let me not talk about that yet. What's practically noteworthy is how they artistically portrayed Maya's experience as a deaf character. During fights, the show doesn't just let you watch, it immerses you in her perspective, plunging into complete and utter silence. Or when you're underwater and you just that type of sound. It is always satisfying for me. I don't know why. The way she navigates a room without hearing anything and communicates with her enemies through sign language was masterfully handled. I I really give it to them for that. The trailer teased Daredevil's appearance in the show, and while I'd advise against expecting substantial amount of Daredevil content in there, because I'm just gonna flat out say it. He's only in the one episode. God. He's only in the one episode. I mean, I get it. This is not a Daredevil Born Again TV series. I get it. So damn, could you cut us a little bit more? Just another episode, cameo, get fight scene between them again? Like, yeah, no? Okay, fine. I mean, the scene they do share is a beautifully executed, action-packed encounter, minus the somewhat, I don't know how to say it, because I've took a look at the fight scene before it aired, and I was like, okay, yeah, that does look very bad, like a very bad choreography, but when you take a look at it in the actual series, it's like, did they edit it, or did they speed it up or something? Because it doesn't feel like what I saw in the leak version of it. Or maybe it's just my eyes deceiving me. Maybe. You can distinctly observe the Disney Plus budget at work, showcasing more of Daredevil's acrobatics and utilizing a wider range of his weapons, which was pretty rare when it came to his Netflix version. You saw a bit of his, but you had to wait like 3 seasons for that to happen. So, but I'm not gonna shit on the Daredevil series for the Netflix. That to me was one of the best masterpieces they've ever came up with. I truly love Daredevil series for Netflix. Same thing with The Punisher. Amazing series. But there were times where I was just like, could you please give him the suit already? How many years do I have to wait? The inclusion of a bloodier tone added a refreshing touch. While regular PG MCU violence is entertaining, to say the least, the occasional desire for more grittier and more bloodier and brain splatting all over the place is a definitely added plus. Aluka Cox delivers a fantastic performance. It was surprising to learn that she was actually deaf and an amputee, which enhances my respect for her, because that's incredible. To do stunts like that, and it's incredible to me. Supporting characters like Biscuit, as I mentioned earlier, was one of my favorite characters. I don't know why Biscuit was one of my favorite characters, but he definitely is. He fits in that category of, yeah, he's side noteworthy material. Throughout the trailers and promotional material, there was a strong emphasis on presenting the show as a street crime thriller set in the underbelly of the MCU, featuring Kingpin, Maya, Grandpa, Grandma, and Biscuit, and gangsters. Gangster? However, there's a significant portion of the show that was either intentionally hidden in the marketing or perhaps overlooked by me, because I really, from the trailer, it made it seem like it was going to stick to New York City in Hell's Kitchen. By the way, I was born and raised in New York City many fucking years. And I was anticipating it, okay? I was just like, oh man, because I just recently moved to Texas, so I'm like, all right, I want to see a piece of home real quick. And I just saw a glimpse of home, and then that was it. I was highly disappointed when it came to that. Which, the first 5 minutes of Echo had me questioning whether Disney sent the wrong screener. That opening for the show was just so odd to me. It was like, why am I seeing ancient aliens or whatever the hell they were? It was very weird. It didn't align with the street crime thriller promise in the marketing. Instead, there is a real element where the MCU delves into its history, akin to what they've done with other cultures like Hispanics and the Atlanteans culture for black peoples in Wakanda. And in this case, they attempt to provide a mythical origin of Native Americans, or at least I think is Native American group. And this part was just such a mixed bag of Skittles. I couldn't get my grasp on it. Like, what is she? She an alien from outer space that was given ancestral powers? Like, it was so hard to determine by these flashbacks that they were giving us, and I'm just like, I don't think I like this direction. While it's admirable that Marvel continues to showcase and highlight various cultures in these instances, blending it with the street crime thriller and random flashbacks involving a mythological supernatural origin felt somewhat disjointed. I just didn't know what to think of it. Like, am I supposed to be happy about it, or this is something that popped up in the future? Like, leaving a sense that perhaps the storytelling could have been better edited, or certain aspects of the story needed more fleshing out. Because when you see the end episode, you're gonna, I mean, obviously, if you didn't see those cuts, those flashbacks, the ending episode wouldn't make any sense. But at the same time, I felt like it wasn't needed. I just felt like it wasn't needed. Like, Echo's a character, from my understanding, is that she mimics people's, she's kind of like a taskmaster. She can mimic people's motions and moves and everything else, but I didn't see none of that here. Instead, it gave her powers that I will get into in the next segment. The condensed 5-episode format might have contributed to this feeling, as it seemed like there wasn't enough time to fully explore these complex themes. I mean, 5 episodes that are about 35 to 41 minutes long, it's pretty hard to jam-pack stuff in there. I mean, maybe it could have been explored more in an 8-episode series, but 5 episodes for a backstory of flashbacks plus current events, it just wouldn't fit. I mean, it was a great attempt, but I can see where they were going with, but it just didn't work. I will say though, if there is one major thing that I would love to be positive about, is the intro. I don't know if it's because I'm just a big fan of the yeahs, but the intro was very unique and very good. I will admit this. The intro to Echo really resonated. I feel like that's the only thing that was super cinematic, and it felt good. I didn't even want to change the intro. Like, I didn't press skip intro because, one, I like the song. I love yeahs, and two, the intro was well edited. I enjoyed it. Yeah, back to the review. Well, unfortunately, the story of Echo didn't captivate me overall. Even the elements including Kingpin and the crimes and the narratives at times, they just felt a bit tedious and unexciting. While there were exhilarating moments, such as the fight scene in the roller skating ring, the beginning Daredevil and her fight scene was pretty cool. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, other than that, there was nothing else. The emotional connections to her heritage and past tying into Fisk just didn't mesh well with me either. It feels like there was potential, but the execution didn't come out as natural as it should have. Kingpin's involvements further added to my mixed feelings for it. I find myself constantly unsatisfied with how the MCU is handling Kingpin. Vincent gives a stellar performance as Wilson Fisk, yet the character seems underutilized. Marvel has a gem in Vincent, but it feels like they're squandering his performance, his limits, his potential. Even in Echo, there are moments where there are flashbacks from Hawkeye, and he's seen wearing that ridiculous white suit with the Hawaiian jersey. The Kingpin presented in Echo feels inconsistent with the one in Hawkeye, because it's like rated R version of Kingpin versus rated PG-13, and then back to rated R version of Kingpin. So I feel like the Hawkeye version was just very PG-13-ish. While I appreciate the nod to have, comic book accuracy, it's disappointing to feel like Marvel's not utilizing Vincent in the way the comics would. So now that we got that out the way, okay? Now that we have that out the way, now delving into spoilers. Marvel and Kevin Feige, okay, have officially declared the Netflix TV shows as part of the MCU canon. Do you know what that means? Yes, everything is canon from the Netflix series. And this inclusion is definitely confirmed in Echo, aligning with the Disney Plus timeline. Throughout the show, we witness the complex relationship between Kingpin and Maya herself, portrayed as a twisted father-daughter dynamic. Kingpin reveals his backstory, confessing to the killing of his father due to domestic abuse. Take this hammer and do it as you will. My attempt at a terrible Kingpin impression. Sorry, I tried. It was an interesting addition. It was blending humor and depth. Another intriguing detail is Kingpin's use of contact lenses that translate sign language for him. A clever touch that adds complexity to his interactions with Maya. Even though Maya was like, why not learn to just communicate with me? You know, it's like, if you want to be my father, communicate with me. You know, it's neat. You need all this technology for that? Do you need all this technology, sir? Ugh. I feel like everyone's using Stark Tech in goddamn MCU, though. That's just something for another video. Like, Fisk is using Stark Tech too. The use of technology in sign language like the contact lenses added an interesting dynamic, but Maya's counteraction challenging Kingpin to learn sign language as a gesture of genuine care was a powerful moment in my opinion. However, the consistent flashbacks to an ambiguous alien race that may have transformed into a Native American felt unclear and didn't fully resonate with me. Those flashbacks were terrifying to look at. Just feel like a horror movie every time they go back to those damn things. I literally jumped up. I'm like, what the fuck? The attempt to provide Echo with superpowers deviated from her traditional ability to mimic styles. But all in all, I feel like the show falls in the middle. I personally will give it a 6 out of 10, and honestly a 6 out of 10 seems fitting at this point. I mean, let's be frank, viewers are likely tuning in for the allure of Daredevil and Kingpin rather than to see Echo herself. The series appears to struggle in elevating a secondary character to be a compelling protagonist, and I feel like that's where they fall short. They want Echo to succeed as a protagonist. But fortunately, it's not how it works. You have to establish a character first. And this wasn't establishing a character, this was already a character that was already there. You know, let me put this down here real quick. I gotta talk to you guys. Let us dive in to the post-credit scene. Okay, my head down for this one. Now, as we dive into the post-credit scene of the show, we witness Kingpin's departure from Oklahoma en route to New York on his private jet, declaring he'll never return to the previous location. Now, the TV in his plane broadcasts a New York debate discussing the lack of suitable mayor candidates. The suggestions arise that anyone could become the mayor, teasing the potential for Kingpin to step in this political arena. I mean, this development aligns with the previous rumors about Kingpin's political aspirations, a significant storyline in the Daredevil show, and a crucial plot point in the upcoming Spider-Man 4. Kingpin's intentions to outlaw vigilantes and superheroes in New York adds an intriguing layer to the unfolding narrative, setting the stage for conflicts with characters like Daredevil and quite possibly, hopefully, Spider-Man. I don't know why I said it like that. Spider-Man. But Spider-Man. However, despite these promising elements, the overall assessment of the TV show tends towards lukewarm. While it surpasses some Disney Plus counterparts, it falls short of creating the anticipated excitement or justification for its existence. The desire to embrace and appreciate the Disney Plus show, featuring characters like Ironheart or Agatha Heartless, is evident, yet a sense of needed content for the streaming service overshadows the potential brilliance of these narratives. And now, I will say, from a perspective of watching all these Marvel Disney Plus shows, it is better than Secret Invasion. And that's a lot to say, right? It is better than Secret Invasion. It is 20 times better than She-Hulk. And it is better than, I'm trying to figure out another Disney Plus show. They're so memorable, you know? It's better than, there's another show. I know there is. I know there is, Chaz. There's another show. You've seen them all. Try to remember it, Chaz. Try to remember. No. Oh my god. What was it? Okay, just know it's better than Secret Invasion and She-Hulk. It's better than the worst shows that you may think is bad. And so I truly enjoyed it for what it was. It was an understanding plot point that we needed for Kingpin, but not really, because, you know, we're going to look into Daredevil and he has like one eye and we're like wondering why, how, what happened, you know, and then this is what happened to him in Echo, you know. And obviously they could have probably skipped, honestly they could have skipped Echo and went straight to Daredevil. In my opinion, they could have did that if they're just going to use her character once, because there's no indication that she's coming back. You know, it doesn't seem like she's going to be recruited in anything, or she might not even be a defender or anything like that. So it's no indication that she might be coming back. So this just felt like a waste of time in Disney's part. But other than that, I'm not going to sit here and criticize it so much and bash it, because it's still a good show. Serious tone, blood gore is up there. It's what you expect from a normal show that's not Disney. On top of the establishment of, right, listen, what they did at the end. Right, so before I end it, I want to talk about the fight scene at the end. I want to let you guys know how epic the fight scene at the end was, okay? The fight scene at the end was like no other, guys. Literally. You wanna know why? Because there was no fight scene at the end. There was nothing of the tunnel. So all that 5 episodes. 5 episodes. 5 episodes. And guess what? The fight scene at the end was stopped by her doing her powers and putting it on his chest, which made him kneel. And then she put it on his face, which made him reminisce of his childhood traumas. And I just couldn't. I was expecting such a big ass battle, you know, at the end of it. You know, it was fucking Kingpin. Come on now. It's Kingpin. So technically at the end, she scares him to death. He leaves. He never wants to come back to Oklahoma. And he's going to leave Oklahoma alone and run for mayor. That's the ending, guys. So that is a spoiler alert. I did say that's a spoiler at the end. So there's that, okay? The fact that that happened, that's the major turnoff for me, was that moment. The series was great until that moment. You couldn't do a big fight scene. You couldn't do they were technically in a barn or something like that. You're telling me you can't do that? You can't fucking do that? You can't fight in a barn and break shit? Is it too expensive? So, motherfucking saw, because I was beyond disappointed when it came to the ending fight. So, yeah, I was just editing this and then I forgot to add this at the end. So yeah, back to the actual video. It's best fight scene ever. Woohoo! So yeah, those are my thoughts on Echo. Just finished watching it. What are your thoughts on Echo if you've seen it? And yeah, just let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think about Echo and the Marvel? And what do you think about Marvel doing these types of episodes for Disney Plus when it comes to the spotlights? Do you feel like it's good for them to bring all episodes out and not have to wait weekly basis? But yeah, those are just my thoughts, guys. What are yours? You guys are gonna do like, comment, subscribe, do the yada yada YouTube stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. We are done. Finito. Out of here. Bye.